Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. US President Joe Biden has warned that he will halt the supply of weapons to Israel if it attacks Gaza's Rafah city. He said the US will not supply weapons to Israel that could help in an all-out offensive in Rafah. Rafah currently has over 1 million Palestinian people taking shelter there. Biden says that so far, Israel's actions around Rafah have not crossed his red lines, but he added that Israel needs to do more to protect the lives of civilians in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israeli troops are holding live-fire drills in the Golan Heights region. It's a region of Syria that Israel has occupied since 1967. The Israeli military has deployed tanks and aircraft for the Golan drill, even as Israeli forces are closing in on Rafah. Israeli women hit the streets of Tel Aviv yesterday, demanding the release of the 130 hostages held captive in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure to secure a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Hamas accepted Israel's latest truce proposal. However, Israeli officials accused Hamas of altering the terms of the deal. Pro-Palestine student protests are intensifying in Western nations. In the latest, the Dutch riot police broke up a pro-Palestinian protest at the University of Amsterdam. Hundreds of protesters were chanting slogans on the streets. The police surrounded the demonstrators and dragged them away from campus. The Yemen-based Houthi group says it has targeted 2 more ships. The Houthis have hit 2 Panama-flagged ships in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthi spokesperson said that they used multiple drones and ballistic missiles to launch the attacks. In Ukraine, lawmakers have passed a bill in the parliament that allows some convicts to enlist in the army. The prisoners will get a chance at parole in exchange for joining the Ukrainian forces against Russia. Not all prisoners will get this chance. Prisoners convicted for serious crimes like the murder of 2 or more people, rape, and crimes against national security are not eligible. The bill is yet to be signed into law by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but it marks Ukraine's latest bid to generate fresh manpower for its military. Ukraine has been fighting a grueling war against Russia for over 26 months now. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin is hosting a summit of the Eurasian Economic Union. Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Armenia make up the EEU. Their leaders are all in attendance. The summit also has observers from Uzbekistan and Cuba. Putin has emphasized Russia's commitment to enhance cooperation within the EEU. Chinese President Xi Jinping is now in Hungary's capital, Budapest. It's the 3rd stop on his Europe tour. Hungary's foreign minister has said that his country and China may sign 16 to 18 new cooperation agreements. The countries are also expected to discuss the Russia-Ukraine war. Fiji's former Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama has been sentenced to a year in prison. He has been convicted of perverting justice. Bainimarama was found guilty of trying to influence a police investigation while he was Prime Minister. He had told Fiji's former police commissioner to not investigate allegations of corruption at the University of the South Pacific. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol gave his first press conference in 21 months. He conceded his party's defeat in last month's parliamentary election. He accepted that this was a referendum of his 2 years in office. Yoon has now pledged to communicate better with both the public and parliament. Indian National Congress leader Sam Pitroda has resigned as the head of the Indian Overseas Congress. His resignation comes after the severe backlash over his remarks about India's diversity. In an interview, Pitroda made racist comments that have been panned. Even the Congress party has distanced itself from his remarks, calling them unacceptable and racist. The controversy comes while India's 7-phase general election is still underway. The European nation of North Macedonia has elected its first female president, Gordana Siljanovska-Davkova. She was backed by the country's opposition VMRO-DPMNE party. The opposition won big in both the parliamentary and presidential elections. North Macedonia's pro-EU ruling party, the SDSM, has conceded defeat. Early voting has begun for Mexico's presidential election. Polling stations have been set up inside prisons for people in pre-trial detention. These are the people who have not been convicted of any crime yet. The prisoners will be allowed to vote till next Monday. Mexico will hold its presidential election on June 2nd. In climate news, the death toll from the floods devastating southern Brazil has surpassed 100. Authorities say search and rescue missions were hampered by new storms that hit the region. The Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul is the worst affected, and it may see more floods in the coming days. The last glacier in Venezuela has completely melted away. The Humboldt Glacier was expected to last at least another decade, but it has shrunk to such an extent that scientists have reclassified it as an ice field. Reports say this makes Venezuela the first country to lose all its glaciers. The U.S. state of Michigan has released cleanup guidelines for residents after tornadoes and storms swept through the state on Tuesday. At least 3 tornadoes hit Michigan during severe storms. Dozens of homes have been destroyed. However, no fatalities or serious injuries were reported. Climate scientists have issued a grim prediction for the end of this century. They expect global temperatures to rise to at least 2.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This is significantly higher than the previously agreed upon global target of 1.5 degrees Celsius. The scientists say a 2.5 degree rise could have catastrophic consequences for humanity. New reports say that the world's oceans have continually set new record-high temperatures every single day over the past year. This trend is being attributed mostly to climate change, along with the El Niño weather phenomenon. The El Niño causes the Pacific Ocean to warm up every few years. The rising ocean temperatures have devastated marine life and fueled coral bleaching. Australia and the Pacific island nation of Tuvalu have agreed to launch a climate and security pact this year. The landmark pact would let at least 11,000 Tuvalu residents live in Australia if their low-lying islands are submerged due to rising sea levels. The pact also says Australia will be obligated to protect Tuvalu in the face of natural disasters. A report by the World Meteorological Organization shows that hunger and disease are on the rise in Latin America. This was after the region experienced a year of record heat, floods and drought. The study also found that Latin America suffered at least $21 billion worth of economic damage due to climate-related incidents in 2023. On to business and tech news. The US is reportedly planning to restrict China's access to American artificial intelligence software. The US is considering new rules to curb the export of AI models that power chatbots like ChatGPT. Currently, there are no restrictions on US tech firms like Microsoft and Alphabet from selling their AI models to China. The US government has already restricted the export of advanced chips to China over national security concerns. Yesterday, US President Joe Biden announced Microsoft's plans to build a data center in the state of Wisconsin. The data center has been proposed at the same site where Taiwanese firm Foxconn had announced plans to build a factory in 2017. Former US President Donald Trump had approved the project back then. However, Foxconn later abandoned the plan. Share prices of the social media firm Reddit soared by 11% yesterday. This was after Reddit reported strong earnings for the first quarter of this year. In Q1, Reddit's revenue increased by 48% to over $240 million. During the same period, the company's ad revenue also surged by 39%. British chipmaker Arm's share prices plunged by 7% yesterday. This was after the firm's annual outlook fell short of market expectations. Arm has revised its full-year revenue to around $3.8 billion. That's below market estimates of over $4 billion. The US tech giant Microsoft is closing down its Africa Development Center in Nigeria. The firm has said that it will also lay off some of the staff based in Nigeria. The decision comes just 2 years after the facility was set up in Nigeria's Lagos. American entertainment firms Disney and Warner Bros. Discovery are teaming up for a new streaming subscription plan. The firms plan to bundle their streaming platforms Disney+, Hulu, and Max. The new streaming subscription plan is expected to be rolled out in the summer in the US. Details of the subscription price have not been revealed. The dating platform Bumble has reported strong earnings for the first quarter of this year. Bumble's revenue rose by over 10% to nearly $270 million in Q1. During the quarter, the dating platform added around 500,000 new paid users. The US probe against Tesla's self-driving software has taken a new turn. The US Justice Department is examining whether the electric car maker misled investors and consumers. They are looking at statements by CEO Elon Musk that may have suggested that Tesla cars with self-driving software can drive themselves. Tesla's self-driving software assists drivers with steering, braking, and lane changes. However, the cars are not entirely autonomous and they need drivers to keep their hands on the steering wheels. Automaker General Motors will stop the production of its Chevrolet Malibu model in November 2024. The petrol engine sedan is being retired after 60 years. GM has sold more than 10 million Malibus since it was introduced in 1964. The decision to axe it comes as the firm is shifting its focus to electric cars. The automaker is investing $390 million to build a new electric car. Air India Express has reportedly fired at least 30 cabin crew members. This comes a day after the airline's nearly 300 crew members called in sick at the last minute. They were reportedly protesting against Air India's management. As per reports, Air India management has asked the rest of the crew members to come back to work by this evening or face action. The cabin crew's mass sick leave led to the airline cancelling over 80 flights yesterday. Moving to sports, we start with cricket and the Indian Premier League. Sunrisers Hyderabad defeated Lucknow Super Giants by 10 wickets yesterday. Lucknow went in to bat first and posted 165 for 4 in their 20 overs. Hyderabad ran riot with the bat and chased down the target of 166 inside just 9.4 overs. Travis Head blasted 89 runs and Abhishek Sharma contributed with 75 to help Hyderabad win the match. Mumbai Indians became the first team to be knocked out of the IPL race. Hyderabad's big victory yesterday moved them to the third spot in the standings behind Kolkata Knight Riders and Rajasthan Royals, both with 16 points. This means that if Mumbai wins their last 2 league games, they won't be able to secure enough points to make it further in the competition. In football, Real Madrid defeated Bayern Munich 2-1 yesterday in the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. Alphonso Davies gave Bayern the lead in the 68th minute. However, a Joselu late double in the final minutes turned the tide. Real Madrid won the match 4-3 on aggregate to enter the final. Bidding opened for the famous napkin bearing Lionel Messi's first ever contract with Barcelona. The contract was signed on the napkin on December 2000 when Messi was just 13 years old. Early bids reached nearly $300,000. The auction will run until the 17th of May. Former Spanish Football Federation head Luis Rubiales will face trial for sexual assault following his unsolicited kissing of the player Jenny Hermoso. The kiss, deemed unwanted by Hermoso, occurred during last year's 1-0 World Cup match against England. It gained worldwide attention and overshadowed Spain's historic moment. Rubiales, who resigned amid the controversy, has denied any wrongdoing. In tennis, Japan's Naomi Osaka is through to the second round of the Italian Open. She beat Clara Burel of France 7-6, 6-1 yesterday. Osaka will next face Marta Kostyuk of Ukraine in the second round. Men's world number one Novak Djokovic expressed confidence in his upcoming performance at the French Open. The Serb said he will hit peak form at the Grand Slam and will demonstrate that in the Italian Open. The 36-year-old has had a dry run this season and hasn't won any event so far. Indian javelinist Neeraj Chopra is set to compete in India for the first time in 3 years. He'll participate in the Federation Cup 2024 athletics contest that starts from May 12th. It will mark Chopra's first competitive outing on Indian soil since becoming the Olympic champion at Tokyo 2020. The iconic Olympic torch has arrived in the French port city of Marseille. It was on the 27th of April that it set sail from Greece to signal the start of the Olympics torch relay. Olympic champion Florent Manadou was given the honor of being the first torchbearer on French soil. The event drew more than 150,000 spectators and was also attended by French President Emmanuel Macron. In table tennis, India's Manika Batra has advanced to the quarterfinal of the Saudi Smash tournament. She defeated Nina Mittelham of Germany to secure a 3-0 victory. In the quarters, Manika will play Japan's world number 5, Hina Hayata. This makes her the first Indian table tennis player to reach the quarterfinals of a singles event at the Saudi Smash tournament. In entertainment news, let's start with the world of Taylor Swift. The US state of Minnesota passed a bill called the Taylor Swift. The bill will protect the rights of people buying online tickets for concerts and sporting events. This will require ticket sellers to disclose all fees up front. It will also prohibit resellers from selling more than one copy of a ticket. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift's long-standing feud with music producer Scooter Braun will be developed into a documentary series. The series has been titled Taylor Swift vs. Scooter Braun: Bad Blood. The row started when Braun was involved in a deal which made him the owner of Swift's first 6 albums. An intruder was arrested by the police from rapper Drake's house in Canada. He was arrested for trying to gain access to the property. This comes a day after someone shot the rapper's security guard outside his house. The guard remains hospitalized. Lady Gaga's concert film has finally gotten a release after 2 long years. It'll stream online on the 25th of May. The film was announced in 2022 and titled Chromatica Ball. It'll feature glimpses from her 2022's Chromatica Ball stadium tour. Singer Olivia Rodrigo has added Asia and Australia to her Guts World Tour. She'll perform in Bangkok, Thailand and Melbourne. The singer will wrap up her tour in Sydney in October. Alec Baldwin has filed a motion seeking the dismissal of the Rust firing case. He faces a trial on the charge of negligently causing the death of a cinematographer on the set of the movie Rust. The cinematographer was shot and killed on set after a prop gun held by Baldwin fired shots which happened to be real. Disney CEO Bob Iger stated that Marvel is cutting down on yearly deliverables. It will not release more than 3 films and 2 shows in a year. The brand wants to focus more on quote-unquote quality than quantity. This comes after several Marvel films flopped at the box office. According to reports, Caroline Curry will lead the film The Breed. She will play the role of a rebel who is on a mission to find abandoned dogs on a remote island. The film is a remake of a 2006 film with the same name. Actor Glenn Powell might star in J.J. Abrams' upcoming film. The duo work together in an upcoming documentary called The Blue Angels. Powell has become a top choice for filmmakers after delivering power-packed performances in Top Gun: Maverick and Anyone But You. Miss Teen USA 2023 Uma Sofia Srivastava has resigned from her title. She stated on social media that her personal values no longer fully align with the direction of the organization. This comes days after USA 2023 Noelia Voigt announced her resignation. Voigt said she needed time to focus on her mental health. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.